I swore I'd keep my college life simple: grades, quiet dorm nights, and zero drama. That lasted maybe 5 minutes. It started in the library. I was hunched over my microeconomics textbook, trying to memorize equations that blurred together like abstract art. My pen scratched across the page, the only sound in the otherwise quiet room. Then, someone leaned against the shelf across from me. Not just leaned, casually sprawled like he owned the place. Blonde hair slightly mussed, blue eyes sparkling, cocky grin plastered across his face. My chest did that stupid flip. Alarm bells went off. That was Kai Weston, the dean's son. People whispered about him like he was untouchable, dangerous, everything you wanted and knew you shouldn't touch. "Hey," his voice said, smooth as melted chocolate, making me suddenly hyper-aware of my own heartbeat. "You look way too serious. Ever tried having fun?" I choked on my breath. Hi," I mumbled, tucking my pen nervously. "Adam, right?" He tilted his head like he'd been waiting all semester to meet me. My stomach dropped. How did he know my name? "You know who I am?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He shrugged, eyes sparkling. "I know a lot about a lot of people here. Don't worry, I'm not a stalker. Mostly." I laughed nervously. A big mistake. He smirked, leaning closer, brushing his fingers across a book I was holding. Fire shot through my veins. "Careful," I muttered, trying to play it cool. "I might bite." "Try me," he said, and that grin, it made my knees weak. The library suddenly felt smaller. My pen dropped. Our fingers brushed again, accidental or not, and I wanted to melt into him right there. I tried to focus, tried to remind myself, he's the dean's son. This is trouble. Like that was gonna stop my stupid heart now. A few days later. A few nights after that first library encounter, I found myself on the roof of the science building, chasing some fresh air after another grueling study session. The city sprawled beneath me, scattered lights blinking in the dark. I leaned against the railing and tried to steady my thoughts. A soft shuffle behind me made me tense. I turned, and there he was. Kai, hands in his hoodie pockets, hair wild as ever. "Didn't peg you for the rooftop brooding type," he teased, voice quieter than usual. I shrugged, suddenly self-conscious. Guess I just wanted some space. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something sharp and clean that made my chest flutter. "Mind if I join?" We stood in silence for a while. The space between us charged. He glanced sideways at me, his expression softer than I'd seen before. "You ever get the feeling you're not supposed to fit here, not really," he murmured. The confession pulled something out of me. All the time. His hand was right next to mine on the cool metal rail. Our fingers brushed, and it felt electric. He leaned in, eyes flicking to my lips, then back to my eyes. Slow, searching, hopeful. My heart tried to hammer out of my chest. I didn't move, barely breathed. For a second, I thought he would kiss me. But instead, he just smiled, small and genuine, and pulled back. "Not tonight," he whispered, shaking his head like he was fighting himself. That night, back in bed, I ached. Not just for the kiss that almost happened, but for the way he made me feel seen. A week later, my phone buzzed at 2 a.m. Unknown number. "You awake?" I didn't even have to look. I knew it was Kai. We talked for hours, voices hushed in the glow of our screens, about old movies, our favorite music, the worst professors, our hometowns, and his complicated relationship with his father. He shared things I never would have guessed. Stories about his mom, how he hated the way everyone looked at him like he was just the dean's son. I told him about my family, my love of city lights, the way I was always running from something, I just wasn't sure what. We didn't hang up until the first birds started singing. 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. Midnight. I had just finished some group project nonsense and trudged back to my dorm, exhausted. My room was dark, quiet, too quiet. Then a soft knock. My heart skipped. My door wasn't supposed to have visitors. I opened it. Kai. Standing there, hoodie pulled over his shoulders, that damn grin making me stupid all over again. "Mind if I come in?" he said. Sure," I breathed, stepping aside. He looked around, mumbled something about some academic help that he apparently needed, all while looking at me like I was his next meal he couldn't wait to devour. We sat on my bed, textbooks between us, pretending to study, but it wasn't studying. His knee kept brushing mine. His hand rested casually on the edge of the bed. Heat radiated off him. Every fiber of my body screamed, "Don't do this, don't. He's the dean's son, too late. Stop thinking," he whispered. Before I could react, he leaned in, lips on mine. Fire, sharp, electric, wrong and perfect all at once. My hands tangled in his hair before I even realized it. Minutes, or maybe seconds, later, we pulled back, gasping. You're insane," I said, trying to catch my breath. He smirked. "Nah, I'm irresistible." I hated him for it. Loved him for it. Couldn't stop thinking about him. A few weeks later. Over the next few weeks, we moved like shadows. Dorm doors locked, hallways empty, whispers in places no one dared linger. Every study session became a battlefield of glances, fingers brushing, accidental touches that lingered far too long. Kai would lean across my desk while I tried to finish notes, his leg brushing mine. I could feel the heat rising through my chest every time he tilted his head toward me, smirking. "Distracted?" he'd murmur, voice low, teasing. I'd flush, pretending to concentrate, though my pen barely moved. My friends noticed. "Adam, are you okay? You've been spacing out all week." I just smiled nervously. Couldn't tell them. Couldn't tell anyone. This was ours. Library corners became ours too. When the hall cleared, he'd press close behind me, whisper jokes in my ear, the scent of him, clean, intoxicating, making my heart race. A brush of his hand on my back, fingers grazing mine, was enough to make me forget everything else. Every night, I fell asleep thinking of him. Every stolen moment in the day replayed in my head, heating my chest, making my stomach twist with anticipation. It wasn't just the library or dorms. Cafes, study lounges, even the empty hallways late at night. We claimed them all. Every touch was dangerous. Every look a promise. Every laugh a tether pulling me closer. One evening, rain pouring outside, we huddled under the awning by the cafeteria. I shivered, and he shrugged off his jacket, draping it around my shoulders. "There," he said, smirking. "Much better." I laughed, heart thudding. "You're impossible." "You love it," he whispered, leaning closer, so close I could feel his breath. I wanted to kiss him, right there, but a group of students passed by. My pulse spiked. The risk made everything sharper. Later, in the quiet of my dorm, fingers brushing, teasing touches escalating into lingering kisses behind locked doors, I realized something terrifying. I was addicted. To him. To the fire we created together. To the risk. Every night was a mix of panic and thrill. My grades slipped, my focus scattered, my friends worried. But none of it mattered. Nothing mattered except the heat of his body, the brush of his fingers, the sharp catch of his lips against mine. Then came the night that changed everything. Kai's dorm. Warm laughter, teasing touches, hands tracing lines I wasn't supposed to memorize, lips finding each other in the shadows. The thrill of secrecy pulsed between us like electricity. I was lost in him, in us, in the danger we courted every night. And then, a shadow at the door. "Adam?" My stomach dropped into my shoes. Dean Weston, his father, standing there, face unreadable, eyes cold. Kai froze. "Stay calm," he whispered, his fingers clutching mine, desperate and tense. Dean Weston didn't speak. He didn't need to. His silence was heavier than any words. Every muscle, every glance radiated control, fury, and calculation. I felt exposed, small, vulnerable, and just like that, trouble had found me. The next morning, I woke up to the kind of dread that twists your stomach into knots before your brain even fully registers the world. The memory of last night in Kai's dorm hit me like a punch. His lips on mine, the heat, the laughter. And then his father. The image of Dean Weston standing in the doorway, silent and terrifying, was burned into my mind. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. By the time I stumbled to my laptop, my inbox was a war zone. Hundreds of emails, red flags, notifications that screamed plagiarism, incompleteness, and academic misconduct. My heart raced uncontrollably. I clicked on my midterm paper. Flagged. Plagiarism detected. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through every document. Nothing made sense. I hadn't cheated. I couldn't have. "Please, this isn't real," I muttered to myself, voice cracking. My palms were sweaty and my chest felt hollow. I ran to the academic office, backpack bouncing wildly against my back. My steps echoed against the tiled floors. I burst through the door, nearly knocking over a chair. "There must be some mistake." "I didn't cheat. You have to believe me." The assistant looked at me, sympathy in her eyes, but firm as stone. "Adam, the dean reviewed everything personally. The decision is final. You're expelled. Effective." Immediately expelled. The word hit me like a punch straight to the gut. My chest tightened. My knees almost gave out. One moment, I was living a secret life full of heat, stolen kisses, and whispered promises with Kai, and now I was nothing. I staggered out of the office, my vision blurring. Students walked past, oblivious, while my entire world collapsed into silence. My fingers shook as I dug my phone out of my pocket. I typed, deleted, retyped. They expelled me. I didn't do anything. Can you help? Minutes passed, then hours. No reply. Panic twisted into something darker. Fear, anger, and a gnawing sense of betrayal. Later that morning, I saw him, walking across campus, laughing, smiling, with Dean Weston, his father. My heart stopped. The world tilted. The boy I had kissed in secret. The boy I had trusted. He looked detached, distant, like I was already gone from his life. I ran toward him, desperation fueling my steps. "Kai, please, we need to talk." He froze, eyes hard, jaw tight. His voice was quiet, controlled. I have to go. I can't. Don't. And then he was gone. My chest collapsed. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. His father had done more than expel me. He had turned Kai against me. I leaned against a wall, shaking. The campus was alive around me, but I was drowning in silence. Every laugh, every whisper, every glance seemed like a knife twisting. I couldn't breathe, couldn't process, couldn't escape. Weeks passed. After the expulsion, I had nowhere to go on campus. Dorms were off limits. Friends avoided me. Whispers followed me like a shadow. I moved into a cramped off-campus apartment. Tiny, barely furnished, but it was mine. I found a part-time job at a small cafe to keep some cash flowing, plus a bit of stability. The first night after I moved out, my phone buzzed and buzzed. Texts from Kai, missed calls piling up like static. I read some of them, heart pounding, and then I turned the phone face down on the table. If he cared so much, where was he when I needed him? I wanted to shout, throw my phone against the wall, and tell him he was just as bad as his father for leaving me alone in the wreckage. Days passed. The ache turned to anger. I deleted a few of his voicemails without even listening. At work, I snapped at customers, my mind half lost, replaying everything over and over. How dare he just disappear, just when it really mattered? Every time I passed the university gates, every familiar path and empty lecture hall, my chest twisted. I remembered Kai, his smirk, that cocky tilt of his head, the brush of his fingers in the library, the stolen kisses in the corners of the dorm. I couldn't stop thinking about him, no matter how hard I tried to focus on work, cleaning, or budgeting rent. The nights were always the worst. I'd lie on my threadbare mattress, staring at the ceiling, heart racing, replaying every moment we'd shared, every whisper, every laugh, every brush of lips against lips. It was obsession, pain, longing, a desperate ache I couldn't shake. I avoided calling or texting him. I wasn't sure he wanted to hear from me. After all, Dean Weston's shadow stretched over him too. Maybe Kai had been forced to cut me out of his life. Maybe he believed my expulsion was real, that I am really the fraud they painted me to be. It was raining when Kai finally showed up at my apartment door. I'd barely slept, nerves shot from the grind of coffee shifts and the ache in my chest. He stood in the hallway, drenched, desperate. "Adam, please, just let me explain, I swear." I cut him off. "You want to explain now? After you vanished? After you let them ruin me?" My voice shook with resentment. He flinched, but didn't back down. "I was trapped," my dad threatened. I shook my head, wiping my eyes. "You think I care? I needed you, and you left me. Just go." He stood in the rain, hands balled into fists, for a long moment. I waited, but he didn't move, his eyes pleading. "I'll keep coming back," he whispered, voice breaking. I shut the door. The anger didn't make the pain fade, but at least now he knew what he'd done. If he wanted forgiveness, he'd have to earn it. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. A single message. "Meet me. Now, please, don't bring anyone." "Kay." My chest jumped. Hesitation battled with need. Risk screamed in my mind, but I couldn't resist. The "don't bring anyone" part got me, and so I ran, my heart hammering against my ribs. About an hour later, I found him waiting in the park near my apartment. The streetlights cast long shadows across the wet pavement, and the faint hum of the city made the world feel suspended, waiting for us. He stood alone, hoodie pulled up, hands shoved deep into his pockets, body tense, eyes darting around like he expected Dean Weston to appear from the shadows at any moment. "Kai," I breathed, my voice trembling. My chest felt tight, heart thudding in my throat. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed him, how empty everything had felt without him. He stepped forward slowly, scanning my face, tears glinting in his blue eyes. "Adam, I'm sorry," he said, voice cracking. I didn't mean to leave you. Don't," I whispered, cutting him off. "Just tell me the truth. Did you ever care? Or was it all your dad's plan?" Kai's shoulders sagged, and real, messy tears slid down his cheeks. "I cared," he confessed, voice breaking. "I care. Every day. You have to believe me. My dad, he's homophobic, Adam. He threatened me, manipulated me. At first, it was subtle. Little jabs, whispers, making me doubt everything I felt for you. Then, he blackmailed me, told me that if I stayed with you, I'd ruin both our lives. He made me cut you out, made me lie to myself, made me think I didn't have a choice. I felt my chest tighten, anger and heartbreak twisting in my stomach. "Kai, you stayed away because of him?" He nodded, choking back a sob. "I tried. I really did, but I couldn't. I can't. Every second without you. It felt like I was dying. I went to him finally. I told him I wouldn't stay away anymore. I stood up to him. I threatened to expose everything if he tried to touch your life again. He didn't expect it. And now I'm here. I'm not letting him win. I'll help clear your name, Adam." I swear I couldn't hold back. I lunged forward, pulling him into me, pressing my lips to his. Heart pounding, hands tangled in his hair, the world narrowing until there was nothing but him, the heat between us, the ache we'd both been carrying for weeks. He kissed me back, soft at first, hesitant, then desperate, raw, as if he were trying to make up for every stolen second, every lie, every moment we'd been torn apart. His hands clutched my back, drawing me closer, and I let myself collapse into him. "Don't ever leave me again," I whispered, voice thick with emotion. "I won't," he promised, forehead resting against mine, fingers tracing my jaw. "I can't. Not ever. I don't care what he says, what he threatens. I love you too much to stay away." We stayed like that for what felt like hours, breathing, holding, and letting the raw, aching love between us fill the empty spaces that had grown during our separation. Every touch was a vow, every kiss a promise. We'd fight, we'd survive, and we'd do it together. A few days later, we started digging quietly. Emails, financial documents, anything that could prove Dean Weston's schemes and my innocence. Every meeting was a gamble. Every stolen glance is a thrill. Every brush of skin a spark. Dean Weston loomed over us, invisible but suffocating, calculating, watching, waiting for the next misstep. I could feel it. Every shadow, every creak in the floorboards made me jump. But Kai was my anchor, my chaos, my fire. Even in the risk, even in the fear, I wanted him. I needed him. Weeks of meticulous, heart-stopping investigation led to a breakthrough. A hidden folder in his father's office. Embezzlement, tampering, lies. My name is clearly framed in a setup. We laughed, we cried, fingers entwined, disbelief and relief mixing in our breaths. "We can finally clear your name," Kai whispered. But just as we planned to go public, the evidence vanished. Stolen. Dean Weston's shadow tightened. Accusations flew. Tampering with official records. Threats. Fear gripped me again, but this time, Kai was there, fierce, unafraid, determined. The walls of my tiny apartment felt like they were closing in on me. The stolen evidence wasn't here. Gone. Like it had never existed. Panic twisted my stomach into a tight knot. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My chest felt heavy, like someone had pressed a weight against it. Kai sat across from me on the couch, fingers drumming nervously on his knee, hoodie pulled up, eyes dark and serious. He looked fragile, tired. I had never seen him like this. Usually he was untouchable, cocky, untamed, but now he was scared, just like me. "We can't go public without the evidence," I muttered, pacing, kicking at the rug. "We'll get destroyed." Completely, Kai's eyes softened as he stood and came closer, closing the distance. His hand brushed mine, light, teasing, but I felt it in my bones. "Then we make a new plan, together. No more hiding, no more secrets. You and me, Adam. We fight him openly. We fight him smart." His words, so calm and firm, should have been comforting. But my heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. I wanted to throw myself at him, to kiss him, to feel his warmth, right here, right now. But fear gripped me. Dean Weston could strike at any moment. Instead, I swallowed hard, nodded, and let my trembling hands drop to my sides. Kai's hand on mine steadied me. "We'll find another way." Together, I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my laptop across the room. I wanted to cry into his shoulder. But I stayed calm. I had to. For both of us. The next few days were hell. Every step on campus felt like walking a tightrope. Every interaction, every whispered conversation, every glance could be a trap. Kai and I met in the quietest corners we could find. Once in a cafe, he leaned across the table, lips brushing my temple in a silent promise. "Stay calm." "We'll fix this," I trembled, heart hammering, fingers itching to reach for him. Every brush of his skin against mine was electric, igniting desire and fear simultaneously. I wanted to kiss him, to let go, to feel alive again. But the stakes were too high. I forced myself to focus, to breathe, to plan. The next day, as we prepared to go public, I realized I'd never felt so alive and terrified at the same time. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, but so did longing. Kai's hair fell into his eyes as he bent over the papers. His lips slightly parted. His hand brushed mine again, and I felt a shock run straight to my heart. "Ready?" he whispered, eyes searching mine. I nodded. My throat is tight. Hands are shaking. Ready. This was it. The final gamble. No more secrets. No more fear. Just him, me, and the fight of our lives. A few hours later. The morning sun hit my face, but I barely noticed. My stomach was a storm of nerves, adrenaline, and anticipation. Today, everything would change. My hands were clammy, trembling, and I gripped my briefcase like it was a lifeline. Kai appeared beside me, hoodie down, tailored jacket on, looking impossibly calm. His blue eyes, bright and stormy all at once, met mine. His hand brushed mine briefly, light, fleeting, but the heat shot straight to my chest. "No matter what happens in there," he whispered, thumb brushing my knuckles, "I'm with you." I nodded, throat tight. I know. But my heart wasn't listening. My nerves danced between panic and longing, and I wished desperately that this day didn't have to be so public. We stepped into the boardroom together. Cameras, reporters, faculty staff, every eye was on us. Every whispered conversation seemed magnified. And then, him, Dean Weston. Standing tall, chest out, mustache perfect, eyes dark and calculating. My stomach twisted. Every instinct screamed run, but I couldn't. I couldn't leave Kai, and I couldn't let him win. We took our seats. Kai sat close, hand finding mine under the table, fingers intertwining. It was a silent promise. We're in this together. The hearing began. Faculty read statements, presented documents. Dean Weston interjected, voice clipped, controlled, every word designed to intimidate. I felt my palms sweat, my heart racing. Every time he glanced at me, I could feel him trying to crush me with just a look. Kai leaned slightly toward me, brushing my shoulder. "Don't let him see you break," he whispered. His presence grounded me, but it also ignited something wild in my chest. I wanted to grab him, kiss him, tell him everything. But I kept my focus. A surprise witness arrived, a staff member who had seen Dean Weston tampering with records. The room gasped at the revelation. I felt a surge of hope, but Dean Weston's expression darkened. He tried to control the narrative, but the cracks in his armor were showing. Kai leaned in, lips brushing my ear. "We can do this!" Together, the touch, brief as it was, sent shivers down my spine. My hands shook, but I gripped his hand tightly under the table. The panic, the fear, the desire, all tangled together. Finally, it was Kai's turn. He stood straightening his jacket, chest heaving slightly. Every eye followed him. "My father lied," he began, voice steady but carrying emotion. "He manipulated, cheated, and tried to destroy someone he never should have. He framed Adam. He lied to me. And I will not let him ruin us anymore." My chest swelled. Tears threatened. I wanted to leap across the table, kiss him, press my face to his chest, and never let go. Dean Weston sputtered, rage flickering across his face. "Kai, how dare you? Ungrateful!" Kai ignored him, presenting emails, financial documents, and recordings. Every lie, every manipulation laid bare. Dean Weston's control faltered. A little while later. The vote was unanimous. Dean Weston was stripped of his title, removed in disgrace. Relief crashed over me, almost knocking me off my chair. Kai turned, eyes shining, tears glinting. "We did it," he whispered. "We're free." I grabbed him, kissed him hard, unapologetically in front of everyone. The world could see. the cameras could see. The danger was irrelevant. We survived. We thrived. The aftermath was chaotic. Reporters swarmed, colleagues whispered congratulations, and I finally allowed myself to breathe. Kai and I slipped away to the campus gardens, hands intertwined, fingers brushing, laughter spilling into the morning air. We kissed again, slower this time. Every touch, every sigh, every heartbeat reaffirmed what we'd fought for. Love, freedom, survival. A few months later, the campus felt different, lighter, cleaner somehow, like the storm had passed but left the air sparkling. I walked past the quad, backpack slung over one shoulder, and actually felt calm for the first time in months. No one whispered about me behind my back. No one cast accusatory glances. My name was cleared. My life, finally, mostly, mine again. I spotted Kai waiting near our favorite coffee cart, leaning casually against the wall, blonde hair tousled, blue eyes scanning the morning crowd, a smirk playing on his lips. The sight of him made my stomach flip. Familiar, dangerous, intoxicating. "Morning, troublemaker," I called softly, trying to sound nonchalant. Kai's grin widened. "Professor Grant, surviving the first week of freedom without me?" I laughed, stepping closer. "Barely, but I have you to thank for that." He held my gaze, long and steady, before taking my hand. Just like that. Fingers entwined, warm and grounding. My chest tightened, my heart doing that stupid fluttering thing I'd come to know well. We grabbed our coffees and wandered toward the campus gardens, the same place we had celebrated the victory. Autumn leaves crunched under our feet. The smell of damp earth and coffee mingled in the air. "I still can't believe it's over," I murmured, letting my shoulder brush his. "That boardroom, your confession, it was insane." Kai laughed, soft and low. "You made it bearable." Your panic faces helped. And you know, me, I rolled my eyes, but my lips curved into a smile. "You're infuriating." He leaned close, resting his forehead against mine. "I love infuriating you." And just like that, all the tension, the fear, the months of hiding and running, it melted. I kissed him, slow, lingering, tasting the warmth of him, the relief, the joy of surviving together. His hands rested on my waist, firm, grounding, possessive. I clutched his shoulders, letting myself fall into the safety and fire of him. The days that followed were a slow dance of stolen moments. Cafes became our hideaways. Parks is our secret retreat. Every glance, brush of fingers, whispered joke was a tiny rebellion against the chaos we had survived. One rainy afternoon, we ducked into the old library, ironically, where it all began. We laughed as we shook off umbrellas soaked and dripping. I pinned him playfully against a bookshelf. "You realize I could get distracted easily in here, right?" Kai smirked, tilting his head. "Distracted by you. Always." And then we kissed. Long, messy, unapologetic. No fear, no secrets, just us. Rain dripping from our hair, wet coats clinging to our bodies, and the quiet hum of the empty library surrounding our world. Every day with him was a reminder that we had survived. Dean Weston, threats, lies, and now we could finally breathe, love, and live freely. A few years later, the office smelled faintly of polished wood and coffee. Heavy curtains cast golden evening light across the room. Kai, Dean Weston Jr., now sat behind the same massive desk that once belonged to his father. Yet the energy was different. He radiated control, confidence, authority, and somehow still that playful spark I'd fallen in love with. I walked in, papers in hand, pretending to be focused on grading. My heart, however, refused to be subtle. "Kai," I said lightly, trying to sound casual. "Late night again?" He smirked, eyes twinkling. "You know me, Professor Grant." I stepped closer, letting my fingers brush against his desk as I leaned in. "You're impossible." He stood, walking toward me, arms open. I laughed, stepping into him. "And I love you for it." Kai kissed me then, slow, deep, full of years of love, of chaos survived, of nights hidden from the world, of stolen touches now free to be open. My hands rested on his chest, feeling the beat of his heart, steady and strong. He held me like he would never let go. We pulled back, foreheads touching. "Do you remember," he murmured, "when we were sneaking around in the library, scared of getting caught by your professors, by my dad?" I laughed softly, memory burning bright. "Yeah, I almost lost everything, but I had you." "You still have me," he said, brushing my hair back, thumbs stroking my cheek. "Always." I leaned into him, sighing, safe, loved, free. I guess I used to sneak around kissing the dean's son, and now... "Now?" He prompted, smirk returning. "I'm kissing the dean himself." We kissed again, slow, intimate, playful. Sunlight fading into golden lamps, shadows stretching across the office. No fear, no secrets, just us. Years of chaos, heartbreak, and fear had led here, to safety, love, and laughter. To a life where every brush of fingers, every whisper, every kiss was ours. We pulled back, smiling, holding hands across the desk. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not past threats, not secrets, not even the world. Only us, only fire, only love. The end. If you were in Adam's shoes, would you risk everything for the boy you secretly loved? Even if it meant going up against the dean? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.